Be disrespecting this loud positive vibes at this moment. Mr. Well, positive vibes at this moment.
Hold on.
Mr. John, let's get into it. How's your family?
Okay.
Judges for disrespecting and
okay
along when it comes.
I got it. I found it. Okay. Hell yeah. All right. Tap the screen, please. I found where the audio breaks, but I found the continuation. Please tap the screen if you can. Share live if you can. That's great. What we're doing is we're reviewing the sit-down interview that Ms. Nitra did with a presidential candidate by the name of John. Make sure I got his name correctly. John Robert Badger. He's out of Louisiana and he's running a grassroots campaign. The clips were sent to me. Shout out to you guys who sent them to me because they wanted me to review them because, again, I have a background in political science. And so people wanted to hear my take on this, I guess, a third party candidate. Fat Daddy, don't keep sharing the live like that. Don't just share it once. Okay, don't share it like that or unfortunately, have to block you. So when you overshare the live, people can't comment. Just share it once. I know you ain't got that many friends. I know I don't. So we're reviewing the sit-down interview with John Badger. And before we get to this next portion, I had a couple of pink flags and I wrote them down. So my first pink flag was that he doesn't like to do interviews. He said, I don't have to do interviews, but I chose to do it with you. That's a pretty pink flag, in my opinion. If you're attempting to gather any of the 330 million votes from across the country, you kind of got to talk to people, right? You can't pick and choose who you sit down and talk to. The second thing he stated was that he doesn't post a whole lot on social media about his grassroots work in his community. Again, unless you're going to knock on 330 million doors, your best mode and means of getting your messaging out is through media, right? It's putting it on television, putting it on your website so we can see what it is you're doing on a daily basis. You're not going to be able to afford to knock on everybody's doors. So those are tiny pink flags for me. And then the third pink flag that I have about him was the ambiguity about his education. Education is not important to run for president. By far, the president we currently have now is an idiot. But to go back to traditional political norms, we do need to know if you are an educated person or if you're lying about it. Not to say the guy's lying. He's probably telling the truth. But my only insert would be to update your website with your transcripts. We need to see you're running for president. We have to see your transcripts, your taxes, and the community service you're claiming you're doing, right? If you're doing it, and if you got it, we have to see it. You unfortunately, you cannot ask us to give you the highest seat in the land and you are a closed book. You got to let us see those things. And you can't be upset when people ask. You can't say, well, it's early in my campaign. No, that's not how it works. If you say you're going to run for president at midnight, we need to see those things at 12:01. You don't get ambiguity to run for the highest seat in the land. You don't get ambiguity when you're trying to run for senator, even though your state gets to see, your election and voting your election, right? But still, you still can't have that kind of ambiguity as senator, House of Representatives member, or even state councils. You can't do that. You got to be open. You have to be open to the people, specifically because you're talking about trying to get elected to the highest office in the land. I guess my fourth pink flag before I play this, because I'm going to go grab my fiber. The fourth pink flag that I have would be him stating that he only wants to do grassroots donations. He is a registered Democrat. I want to make sure this is clear. At least this is from what Ballotopedia stated. This man is, this jacket is getting me every time, but ignore the jacket. He's a registered Democrat, right? And so being a registered Democrat to a registered party here entitled to do so, right? So you're going to need an upheaval of a lot of money. And again, we're talking about a general election. We only have one general election, and he's asking for people to give him small dollar donations, which is fine. You can grassroots campaign that, but at the same time, though, that costs anywhere between $2 and $5 billion to run a general election. To run for president costs about $2 to $5 billion. So He's closing himself off to interviews. He doesn't want to do any publicity in regards to his. He's not putting out any ads or anything like that. So I'm not entirely sure where he's going to get the $2.5 billion, but he's going to have an uphill battle trying to gather that as small dollar donations. And he's not putting in the legwork, in my opinion. And the reason why I can say he's not putting in any legwork is because he won't show us. We don't see any of that. I don't see anything. I don't live in Monroe, Louisiana, so I can't tell you if the guy is telling me he's doing what he's doing. He could be doing those things, but I don't know as a constituent because he won't show us. Okay, so I'm going to play this clip. I'll go get my fiber. You guys tap the screen if you can. Okay.
Now, I did see one good question right there, and I am looking and scanning. What is your stance with the immigrants? This
is where I wanted to hear. So what's this? We're listening to an individual by the name of John Roberts. He's running for president, and he's being interviewed.
Excuse me. And the immigration, how do you feel about that? People going back or being told that they have to go back somewhere. How do you feel about that?
Well, how it's done is wrong. It's actually against the law. I have also filed a lot of exportation and lawsuits against the immigration program as well. Again, it's out there. You just go look it up. But
why do we have to look it up? Why do we have to look it up? I'm not understanding this whole very antithesis of what he's doing. Why are the people required to look up what you did? If this is your party stance, right? Like, I support immigrants, I will sue ICE and immigration enforcement because they are violating people's due process, their civil rights, civil liberties, but go look it up. Why are we looking this up? You are looking for our votes, not the other way around. Just show us your work. It's not hard. You know what I mean? It's not hard. Just show us what you did. I don't understand why he's very anti that. I'm assuming there's going to be a reason as to why he's very anti showing his work, but we're just going to continue to listen to this interview anyway.
I don't like the way it's being done. However, it do need to be done. A lot of people are here illegally, but that's the wrong way to do it. We don't just send people to Eritrea and to countries they didn't belong to. There's a way to do things. There's a way by the law to get it done. And if I was to do it, I will not do it the way it's being done. I will use the law. And that's the way we should be doing things.
I need him to elaborate on that more. I need you to elaborate on that. How exactly are you going to use the law in order to deter individuals from coming to the U.S. illegally? And when you say illegally, what do you mean? Do you mean like overstaying their visa because they were on their honeymoon and they just stayed a couple extra days into the U.S.? Whom exactly are these policies being done to? Are they going to be done to Swiss citizens who come here? Is it going to be happening to individuals from Austria and Germany? Or is it just individuals from South America and Mexico? That's what we want to know. And specifically, how are you going to do that? How are you going to fix to make your lives better? But how are you going to do that? His answers are quite vague.
There's no way that a child should ever have to mourn the loss of their mother and father, whom they was just at home with, and now being taken and thrown over the field because they choose that they should not be here because they feel that every last one of them are criminals. But yet, we have a president that's sitting in the office who have been proven to be a criminal, and he's not even a legal, a legal person here in the United States.
Get it, but whatever, she got it, right? So she probably got an Einstein visa to get it, right? Or she probably got did something they want to
for basically networking.
Yeah, I'm recapping.
And working like network work, and will you be contributing from your own funding, your own pockets? Are you open to helping out?
So I've already contributed to my pockets. We was raising $40,000. Now we are down to $36,000. The only thing I received from anybody in the public was 21 cents, and I told you guys when I received that, the threat came with it, and I sent it back. So no one has supported me. I've been supporting my own campaign out of my own pocket.
That you can't do that. You can't do that. And you can't do that. You cannot finance your own election. You can't do it. There are campaign finance laws for a reason. Because we need to know where that money came from. That's why although campaign finance laws are quite ambiguous with super PACs and dark money, right? But there's still a level of, we gotta see where that money came from. So him saying he financed his own campaign is not a flex. It's quite illegal. It is the most illegal thing that you can do. You have to have that money put into a specific account, and not just put into a specific account specific for your campaign. You have to tell us where it came from. You can't say, "Oh, I just took it out of my bank account." Okay, but where did it come from your bank account? And there's campaign finance laws that he is sounding like he's teetering on violating. So I just want to hear a little bit more about this, because now we're getting into a darker pink flag. We're not at a red flag yet, but these are darker pink.
Come on, somebody. This is good to me. So this is
Cash App donation. What's that?
Give me a moment where you were vulnerable. Because I think sometimes people get vulnerable, and when it's times like this, let me give a example. The other night, Mr. Slim God came up and he asked a question about basically negotiating your beliefs in order to get votes in. Is that something for us to worry about? Have you ever had those vulnerable moments when it's down and we don't know? Can you give us a time where you were vulnerable, and how do we work that?
So, let me say this. Since I've been running, and I've been running since actually last year, December of last year. But I actually came out February 13, I believe is the FEC says, when I actually came out and started telling people I'm running president. The only vulnerable stage that I deal with as of today is to see my own people try to undermine what I'm doing. Because
what's happening today?
Right. It's because I'm so young. I'm 36 years old. They feel like I'm not ready for it. They feel like, oh, he's slow. Oh, he's this. Oh, he's that. Feel what you feel. But guess what? I'm going to keep pushing.
Yeah.
I don't think his age has anything to do with it. That's just me. I think he's a perfectly normal age. Barack Obama was pretty young, too, when he ran for president. I don't think it has anything to do with that. It has everything to do with the pink flags that I stated. The inability to do sit-down interviews with other people that he chooses. It doesn't work that way. Him stating that, oh, well, I don't have to post what I do online. Yes, you do. You're running for president. You need all of our votes. And then him saying, oh, well, I go door to door, and people in my neighborhood, they know me, but you're not going to 330 million doors. So what's that about? And then the whole issue with him funding his own campaign. I need to see those books. I need to see those books specifically. Now, he is running for president, so he is required by the FEC to disclose all of that money that he has gotten. And when it does, I'll crack open his books, because he has to submit them and we get to see them, right? I'll crack them open. And I want to see exactly where that money's coming from specifically. I want to see where it's coming from and how it's spent. So unfortunately, there's certain things he can't get around. You can't get around campaign finance laws. You may get around not posting what you're doing in the community for people to see. You might be picking and choosing who's going to interview you, but what you're not going to be able to obfuscate is campaign finance laws. We need to see where that money's coming from, if any money has come into your campaign at all. But again, I can't imagine it's any large sums of money, because he's not properly campaigning. He won't even post what he does in his community on his website. His website is littered with AI images. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with that, but If you are actively in your community doing the things that you said you do, you wouldn't need an AI image to produce that. You should be able to take photos of all of the philanthropic and volunteer work that you're doing. These are just pink flags. Again, I don't think anything's are red flags. Even if Ms. Nidra sat down with Donald Trump, I'd be labeling red flags and pink flags all over the place. So that's just me and my background in politics, right? Anybody could be a red flag. Hell, I could be a red flag running for president. Okay?
It like now, just even some of the comments, it's just that people just are who they are. But one thing you just said, you have to keep pushing. You're 36 years old, and you to even have a mind frame to want to run for president.
Thank you guys for the
big.
gift.
And so I salute you, because a lot of people don't have that boldness. What makes you think that you have the capability of handling such a big duty at such a young age? Because you would still be less than 40 if God bless you to make it to this seat.
Yes, ma'am. Well, let me say this right here. For a long time, I have shut down prisons that felt that they would never be shut down. I'm responsible for shutting down 36 prisons.
I want to see that. That is very specific. And I'm going to write that down because that is a note that I would like to take. He stated that good evening, Maddie J. Good evening. He said he shut down 36 prisons. So let me see. He didn't say county jails. He said prisons. Okay. That's a big number. So let's see if he gives us an answer.
Louisiana, Texas, and Mississippi on my own.
Okay, let's rewind it back.
Down prisons that felt that they would
at such a young age.
We're gonna rewind it back.
You would still be less than 40 if God bless you to make it to this seat.
Yes, ma'am. Well, let me say this right here. For a long time, I have shut down prisons that felt that they would never be shut down. I'm responsible for shutting down 36 prisons.
He said 36.
Louisiana, Texas, and Mississippi on my own. I had no support. I had no help. I had guards that was looking for me. I had judges that wanted my head. I had district attorneys that was trying to do everything they can. They was finding charges. They was walking around my house. They was doing everything they can to stop me from running for doing what I was doing. Okay? So let me tell you this right here. I'm never afraid of nothing.
I need you to elaborate on those prisons. Thank you, our RCV Graves. Yes, we're sitting down listening to an interview with a guy by the name. Every time I show this picture, this jacket is sending me. His name. Why is his jacket off? His name is John Roberts Badger, and he's running for U.S. president in 2028. I'm going to just show you the interview again. So we're listening to his interview. He sat down with Miss Nitra over here on TikTok, and he talks about how the jacket is sending me. It's cute. It's funny. He's talking about how he had closed down 36 prisons in, what did he say? He said Louisiana, Texas, and Mississippi. The jacket is sitting me. I need to know which prisons these were. That's all. Just tell me which prisons and how did you do it, right? If you can shut down 36 prisons, I would love to see you share that information to help other governors who might be left-leaning or very, libertarian, who also want to shut down these prisons. They would probably want to know, how did you do it?
They come against me. Because I remember, I tell y'all all the time, I am the will of God. I just lead him to guide me. And I'm going to be okay. I cannot worry about what people feel about me. I do have death threats all the time. I don't have security a lot of times around me. But I do have Jesus, my peacemaker of all understanding.
And with that, I understand. Woo, I understand. Yes, this is so good to me. And I really am so thankful for this opportunity. And someone corrected me. I said, when you make president. Thank you downstairs. When you make president. Speak those things that are not as though they are. Do you believe that the educational system should be a considered focus point? Because our teachers are underpaid. They spend most of the time with our children, and they just don't get the acknowledgement that they so desperately deserve. What can we look forward to when it comes down to the education system?
So I'm going to assume that you didn't read my message I sent you in your inbox.
No, sir, I didn't.
My first policy is about education. Giving teachers raises was one of my biggest policy. I actually feel not only giving them raises, because we have to be careful with who we give a raise to. Children are actually out there. I'm sorry, some of our teachers are actually out there doing the work. And then we have some of those teachers, like what I had to deal with. I had a lot of them tell me I wasn't going to be anything. I wasn't going to make it. I wasn't going to be this. I wasn't going to be that. So that is one of the things I want to make sure we can take care of. But another thing I also said we was going to do is I want cameras in every last room, so that we can see how our money is being spent on our children and ourselves, because we are taxpayers. And we should have the right to know if our teachers are in there teaching our children on how to be something we're not raising them to be, or how to do something that we sent them to school to do. And that's to learn. And if I'm going to give them a raise, I'm going to know what you're doing in those rooms. Simple as that. Not only for that, that don't just stop there. That goes for the medical centers. That goes to the police departments. Yes, police departments have a recording on them, but we see them cover them all the time. We see them cut them off. If they cut them off in a line of duty, they will immediately be fired and prosecuted. Immediately. Likewise for a teacher, likewise for a doctor. There's too much going on when it comes to discolored skin in those sectors, and I'm sick of it.
Okay. So before we get into him ranting, I'm a little curious about that prison closure. So in Louisiana in 2012, in 2012, right, which would have made John Badger 23 years old. Okay, so I just want to just keep this as a frame of reference. He'd be 23 in 2012. So in 2012 in Louisiana, C. Paul Phillips Correctional Facility in DeQuincy, Louisiana, abruptly learned that they were going to lose their jobs. The 54-year-old prison was slated to close 2 months later and shut down on November 1st of 2012. Almost 942 prisoners were sent to another correctional facility. Closing Phillips will save an estimated $2.6 million fiscally in the department. Quincy city officials weren't happy about the prison closing, and they said, we're going to lose about 320 jobs and people's livelihoods. What do you mean? The Louisiana had previously closed a 498-bed facility in earlier July of 2012. The closure was due to budget cuts. Some of the prisoners were transferred to parishes jails where it was less expensive to house them. That's an estimated $5.7 million fiscally that the state had saved. The governor stated, we're going to be much more efficient in providing the same level of service, but substantially less cost. Unfortunately, it does impact our employees, and several hundred prison workers were laid off because of the closures. The legislators had tried to stop it, but ultimately they failed when Governor Bobby Jindal killed the appropriations for it to survive. There's only 2 prisons closed in Louisiana in 2012. He would have been 23 years old, and they were due to budget cuts. So that's just one state. If I don't like catching people in lies, okay? There's only 2 prisons closed in 2012, which would have made John Badger 23 years old. How the fuck was he closing prisons at 23 years old? If he had, that is a miracle. I want to know how he did it. How did you convince the governor to cut the budget to close these 2 facilities? Okay. So that's just the state of Louisiana. We can go to the state of Texas, which we know don't close shit. He also stated he closed prisons in the state of Texas in mid-July 2011, which would have made John Badger 22 years old. Texas lawmakers voted to close the Central Unit Prison in Sugar Land, where over 1,000 prisoners were relocated. They closed another prison in 2013. They only had 2 prison closures in 2011 and 2013 because of budget cuts by the state legislature. If this man had closed 23 prisons, how did he do it? That's just 2 states. I'm not even going to look into Mississippi. I can guarantee you it was more budget cuts. Okay? Let's continue this interview.
Ooh,
That is a red flag.
Y'all got to give him time to let him cook. Let him cook, y'all. He touched every ground. Teachers, medical, police.
He said 36, right? I just listed to you 4 prisons, and 2 in the state of Louisiana, 2 in the state of Texas. Unless the state of Mississippi had 32 federal prisons and state prisons. I don't have to look, okay? I'm here on the federal criminal defense attorney.com, who lists all of the closures of federal prisons. This website here. Unless the state of Mississippi, I'm not even going to scroll to Mississippi, but just for shits and giggles, they didn't even add the state of Mississippi on here because they didn't have any federal. Look, I'll show you if you can see. I don't know if you can see. It stops at the state of Texas, and it says the BOP bucks the trend. And then it says, conclusion, the state of Mississippi didn't lose any federal prisons. So unless you find me an article with 34 or 32 state and federal prisons that were closed by somebody, by the Wild West bandit by the name of John Badger, that is going to be a big red flag for me. Okay.
Don't forget to take out your trash can.
I took out the trash. Don't worry. Okay, let's continue the interview because now I'm getting annoyed.
Officers, and we quickly doing that. Tell me this. We get a lot of housing. Now that you covered that, housing, funding, homeless shelters. Can we look forward to some better shelters to offer to these parents? Like even here, we have a homeless shelter for women to come to that are abused. But when you go in there, yes, we appreciate the benefits. But
yes.
Can we look forward
that
to
QL?
some
Yes,
housing
QL.
shelters? Like some apartment shelters, like give them a 3 to 6 month time frame a year to get up on your feet, not a room full of other people and the exposure and no privacy. Are these things that we're able to say, hey, we lack in a lot of areas?
Thank you.
Is that something that you're open
821.
So here's what I'm not going to do. I'm done with apartments. I'm done with packing everybody else's pockets.
Thank you, 821.
We're not doing that. What we're doing now, and again, I know you.
Oh, that's Pretty Mamba. Thank you, Pretty Mamba.
I did it.
We're going to actually start building Section 8 homes to be owned, not rented. We're done with that. People stay on Section 8 for 20 and 30 years because Section 8 continue to pay bills. Well, that.
Whoever sent me this interview. Whoever sent me this interview. He said he wants to build Section 8 homes that can be owned. Section 8 specific guidelines of Section 8 is rental. That is the specific guidelines of Section 8 as a landlord and a tenant. Could he invest more money into HUD loans for first-time homebuyers? Yes. Can he turn Section 8 homes into home ownership? No. And anybody who took 2 fucking minutes to read the guidelines and policy of HUD would know that. They would know that. They would literally, quite literally know that. They would know, oh, okay, well, we would just expand HUD loans. Okay, we can invest more money in HUD loans, or we can keep the pot of loans that are distributed through HUD relatively the same, but we can lower interest rates for first-time home buyers who qualify. That's typically what they do. They do it for VA loans. They do it for all kinds of things. So the national average for home loans is for people like me and you who have pretty good credit and a good amount of money. For individuals who are veterans or who qualify through HUD housing will receive the government subsidized interest rates on those homes. Anybody would know that. I'm not even running for president, and I know that. And it means like if you qualify for HUD, instead of paying the 6.4%, which is the current national interest rates for home buying, you would get yours at like 3.2%. Typically, when inflation is down and the national average is like 2%, individuals who qualify for HUD and VA loans usually get it at 0%. They get a 0% interest rate loan. But because inflation is where it is now, that's why, but that's still pretty low, right? They're getting the 15 years ago national average. That is what he's talking. I don't know what this man is talking about.
That's how America is able to get rid of a lot of money and take a lot of it and pocket it. Because we put it in programs like this when there's a lot of people out there that's still looking for homes, cannot find them because it's so stacked. But if we start building homes and tell the HUD program, tell Section 8, we're no longer paying for these homes to be rented. We're paying for these homes to be paid for, and that person can build generational wealth out the home that we give them. And they can pass it on to their loved ones, and their loved ones can pass.
The government wouldn't do that. The government would just subsidize the loans. We did that. We've already seen that. That was during the big suburban boom of the 1950s and 60s that they did for white people. The urban sprawl is what they call it, or the suburban sprawl is what they call it. The government was giving people low interest rates to get mortgages. They were working in culmination with project developers who were building out the suburbs, and they were telling people, hey, if you get out of the city, we'll give you a 0% interest rate on those homes. Everybody's like snatching them up. But because of redlining, only white people got them. And then we got FDR, and then he got the GI Bill, and then it allowed black people to use their GI Bills to be able to go into the suburbs and purchase homes. So that's how that works. This man does not know enough about U.S. history to be running for president. And I understand we got Donald Trump, and he don't know anything about U.S. history, but we can't, come on, the iron can't strike twice.
On to their loved ones. We are in a community that does not care about us. So we have to understand, you won't give us the 40 acres and a mule, but you will give us what we need when I get there. And that's what I promise you.
Right. This is good to me. If you all don't mind being respectful, this is an interview. You're not going to get every question that you so possibly feel like you can get answered today. He is doing a great job. So respectfully, if you all do not mind respecting him.
I will say this, Ms. Dietrich is asking very good questions. But because she doesn't have a background in politics, like she doesn't have a background in politics, but she doesn't have an in-depth background in like maybe like U.S. politics, his answers don't come across to her as red flags. And that's okay. Like I could ask questions to a nuclear physicist and they can give me the answer. And a real nuclear physicist would be like, those are inappropriate answers. Like that is not how nuclear fusion works, because I don't have an in-depth understanding of nuclear fusion. So she's asking fantastic questions. It's just, she doesn't know that he's giving her a bunch of malarkey. He's really giving her malarkey. He's giving her a bunch of junk. You know what I mean? He's giving her a bunch of junk. And because she's not equipped to ask, second questions or follow-up questions, it's you understand what I'm trying to say? She's asking fantastic. These are the same fucking questions I would ask. I would literally ask him that, but I would follow up. I'm like, okay, well, explain to me your U.S. migration policy, because all you're saying is that the president is an undocumented migrant. That is not true. Like, explain to me where you're getting that from. When he said, I closed down 36 prisons in Louisiana, Texas, and Mississippi, I would ask him, how did you do that? And name at least 5 prisons you closed. Those are the follow-up questions I would ask him.
In here, I won't be able to ask him every question in the book, but I do believe that we are touching some great bases. He's doing good. Please be respectful. What made you choose Democrat over Republican?
So he is a Democrat. He's a Democrat.
We have to go there. Well, let's just say this right here. The Republicans have a history, and I believe Mr. Slim touched on this. It was factual what he said when he said every time that the Republican mess up something, they need a fixer. We are the fixers. That's Democrats.
That's true.
And we know that this Republican that's there now have not only tilted over the bucket, but took it and threw it outside and misplaced it. And there's a lot of work to be done. They know that another Republican cannot go in and fix that problem because they can't be trusted anymore. Let's just take back the individual he said what he was going to do, and he done it. Okay, and now I feel that a Republican would never hold seat again in this America. And if it is, it would be a very slim chance. And it will only be because Senate and House stack the odds against us. What they're trying to do in Texas right now with the mapping and what they're trying to do here in Louisiana with the mapping. That will be the only way they will hold a seat from this point on.
This is good. This is good.
It doesn't explain why he's a Democrat, but he does give that's a very solid answer, and he's absolutely correct. Nothing he said in that answer was incorrect. The Republicans are trying to stack the seats in the midterm elections. Another Republican, and this is just my synopsis, will probably not get elected to U.S. presidency for quite a few terms because of the damage that had already been done. And I feel as though a lot of Republicans are not happy with how the economy is going. And so they're not going to see another president for quite some time. And that's good. That's good to say. But everything he said was accurate.
Let me look here. I saw a question. How will he undo this big bill? Some of those are questions that, let me see.
I won't undo it. I'll be getting rid of it.
Okay. So someone is asking, where can they see your credentials? He said that earlier. You can go to the.
Well, so there is several places you can see my credentials. You can first go to the school themselves, and you can actually Google that person. Go into the search bar and say student search. I learned this just last week, and you can actually search a student that actually been there, and they'll actually tell you what they did and when they finished. You can actually go to fec.gov. You can actually go to my website at electjohnbadger.com.
Okay, let's go to fec.gov because he's telling us where to find his credentials. Okay. I would just prefer you to upload them to your website, but you know what? A girl's got to do what a girl's got to do. So he said go to fec.gov. We went to his website. It's not on his website. Okay. Search all campaign finance data. We're going to get to that in a minute. Let's see. Okay, here we go. All right. Well, let's not skip that. We'll let's get to everything. Okay, so they said about the candidate information. He's just a Democrat. Very simple. Okay. Let's go to go to his FEC filings. Okay, there's nothing there too interesting. Let's see how much money he's raised. Okay. Okay. Well, he hasn't raised anything yet. I'm going to show you so you don't be like, oh, Nosy, you're just being mean. I'm not being mean. It's right here. So under finances, says we don't have John Badger Roberts for 2027 through 2028. It said they could be uploading, but we don't have anything. We're going to go to year 2025. And again, they don't have anything for how much he's raised. He did start his election, so that's okay. But the reason why it's kind of concerning is because he did state that he had used his own $40,000, and now he's down to $36,000. So we'll just wait for those filings to come in. When you go here to the website, you can click. This is very important, just for any candidate. You can click money raised. You can click cash flow, and you can click cash summary. So you can click all of those, how much he raised, how much he spent, and his summary. He hasn't not uploaded those yet, so we don't have those. So when he does, we'll be able to see them, but they don't tell his credentials. Now I want to make that clear. These don't tell his credentials. FEC is specifically for campaign finance money. So he said that we can check here. It is not here. You cannot check here for his credentials, at least not where I saw, but I'll try again. Give me a second. I'll try again. Maybe I'm just ignorant to the website, but I truly am not. But let's try again. So we're just going to go search. Yeah. So when you go back to the main page, these are the only three markers. So this is a search campaign finance. This says help for the candidate and committee. And then this says search legal resources. There is nothing here that shows candidates' credentials. He said go to his website. We went to his website. There was nothing there. So let's hear how else we could find out what this man does.
But I feel that my credentials shouldn't matter when our president now doesn't even have a high school diploma. So why are you concerned about mine?
Hold on.
Gov, and say student search. I learned this just last week.
So I want to rewind it back because I want to hear him say it in its entirety.
Well, so there is several places you can see my credentials. You can first go to the school laws themselves, and you can actually Google that person. Go into the search bar and say student search. I learned this just